Hi everyone, my name is Gautam Gupta and I want to welcome you all to my YouTube channel, Universal Fundamentals. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the third house in Vedic astrology. But before I begin, I want to invite everyone to please check out my website, universal-fundamentals.com, where you can learn more about me and what I do as a Vedic astrologer. You can also sign up for my free monthly newsletter where you will get my monthly predictions delivered to your email. And if you happen to find this video helpful and useful, then please give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button. Doing so will tremendously help me with the YouTube algorithm, which will allow other users like you to locate this video. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure to hit that bell notification icon so you do not miss out on any of these similar YouTube videos that I will be uploading in the future. So with that being said, let's begin with talking about the third house. So the third house in Vedic astrology, and whenever we think about the third house, most astrologers, including myself, will agree that the third house is one of the most underrated houses in Vedic astrology. Now, this is because the third house, it doesn't rule any of the auspicious houses, nor does it form any special yogas or planetary combinations. However, the third house is extremely underestimated and is actually extremely important and can be used to assess many things about your personal life. The third house is one of the Kama houses that denote our desires and wants in life. It is also an Upachya house, which denotes that things get better as time progresses. And you will kind of notice that as we get older, we become more accustomed to the challenges and obstacles that life has thrown at us. Now, when we become more experienced and accustomed to certain events, we tend to have an easier time dealing with them the next time a similar event transpires. Therefore, as time progresses, things get better in terms of the way we handle life affairs. Now, the third house also represents our courage, willpower, vitality, and competition. And because the third house rules competition, it also rules our abilities and desires to play sports. It also represents our younger siblings and the way we communicate to each other, whether it's through text messages, social media, or other verbal and technological ways. And also, in addition, the third house represents our writing power and ability to write short articles and stories. Now, the third house also represents our need to express our ideas, especially with other people. If we're unable to collectively use our creative talents with others, then life can become useless without a sense of purpose. It's human nature that we want our ideas and beliefs to be validated by others. We want to share our ideas and we want to be heard so that way we can form meaningful connections and relationships with other people. And this gives many people a sense of purpose and a reason to live. By sharing ideas with like-minded people, we form a common bond with others, which gives us a sense of unity and completion. Now, another component of the third house is that it is the house of teaching. It is our ability to share information with others in an educational and meaningful way. When we teach others, we empower others by arming them with valuable knowledge. By teaching others, we learn more because when we can effectively explain a concept to other people, our knowledge and confidence in that subject area becomes even more validated. And when we empower others, we ultimately empower ourselves, and that is an extremely valuable component of the third house. And the third house will also rule short distance travels and our ability to open our minds to new ideas. When we travel to different places or countries, we become exposed to new things that we have never thought about before or seen. As a result, this changes our original perspectives on certain beliefs, and we become more open-minded and understanding about different beliefs and perspectives. Now, in terms of our body parts, the third house rules our ears. So, hearing in general, and more specifically, it does rule the right ear. It also rules hands, shoulders, arms, and lungs. Now, planets in the third house will heavily determine how the meanings of this house will play out in a birth chart. For example, if you have Jupiter in the third house, then teaching and creativity come naturally to you. You have the innate ability to spread knowledge in a very meaningful way that can really transform your audience's perspectives about your subject matter in a positive way. Teaching becomes second nature to you, and you find very innovative and creative ways to teach almost any subject you are passionate about with passion. You tend to have a good relationship with younger siblings, and there is an element of teaching or giving advice that becomes a part of your sibling relationships. You're always able to teach with the greatest wisdom, and that really attracts your audience. Now, if you have Mercury in the third house, then this tells me that communications come naturally to this person. You love to talk and communicate about almost anything and everything, and you are very gifted in the area of sales. Pretty much, this person has the gift of gab. Traveling becomes a great focus in this person's life, and a person becomes very knowledgeable in various subject matters, making them a great trivia buff. They just seem to know the most random things about life. Now, if you have Venus in the third house, then this tells me that you are very gifted in the creative aspects of life. You really have an eye for detail and how to beautify the things around you. You would make a great interior designer, a great fashion designer, a great artist, or even a great musician. You can even excel in the areas of selling a clothing line or anything to do with music. Because Venus is a female planet, this will denote that you have a younger sister in whom you generally get along with and have a good relationship with. Now, if you have Moon in the third house, then this tells me that you constantly think about traveling and moving to different places. Moon is a very changeable and adaptable planet, and you simply have to be on the move at all times. Moon is a very soft planet, and with Moon in the third house, you become a very good listener. However, you just have to be careful not to gossip the information you're being presented with in a negative way. And sometimes Moon in the third house can denote that you are the youngest out of all your siblings. Now, malefic planets tend to thrive in the third house. And malefic planets do very well in Upachya houses, which are the houses 3, 6, 10, and 11. So if you have Saturn in the third house, then this tells me that you have a great sense of discipline and that you are willing to go the extra mile to get things done. You have the persistence and ability to write books, as writing books require a great deal of discipline and focus. You love putting in effort in whatever it is you are doing, and you feel a great sense of pride whenever you accomplish your goals. One thing, however, I have noticed with Saturn in the third house is that it takes a person longer than usual to learn a required set of skills, whether it be in education or other fields. Now, there can also be a disconnect with a younger sibling, or it is possible to not have any younger siblings with this placement. There can also be a huge age gap between siblings if you have Saturn in the third house. Now, if you have Mars in the third house, then you have a tremendous amount of willpower, drive, and focus. You demonstrate a great deal of competitive spirit in whatever it is you are doing. However, since Mars is the Karaka of the third house, and the third house represents our siblings, I have seen this placement cause a lot of contention and competition between the native and their siblings. There's always this drive and ambition to outdo your siblings or competition. You just gotta make sure it is done in a healthy way and that you don't ruin any relationships during this process. And I have seen people do very well in athleticism with Mars in the third house, as it can indicate a very energetic person. Now, if you have Sun in the third house, then this also indicates a great amount of courage and ambition in an individual's life. Communication skills are easily developed at an early age and becomes a huge focus for the individual. Their work tends to involve either a lot of technical skills, such as dealing with computers, or even creative skills, such as pursuing artwork or anything to do with using your hands to create something. Since the sun represents male energy, this can denote that you have brothers. And since the sun also represents the father, it tells me that your communication skills could have been developed by the father's help. It can also indicate that the father has some sort of connections with sales. Now, if you have Rahu in the third house, then in most cases, this will tell me that you may be the youngest out of all your siblings. Rahu in the third house gives people a great skill set in any technological field, such as computers or dealing with the latest trends. There is a tendency to be very assertive and direct with the communication, which takes an individual quite far in life if done correctly. However, with Rahu in the third house, there can be some contention and disconnect around the siblings due to living far apart or even a big age difference. So it is important to keep that in mind. Now, if you have Ketu in the third house, then there's also some level of a disconnect between your siblings. It can also mean that you don't have any siblings, or if you do, you are just simply detached from that relationship. Because Ketu is an indicator of loss, there can be some losses in one of your siblings' life that causes an empty void. So there could have been some difficulties with early education. However, this tells me that the person can really think outside the box and become extremely creative and innovative with what they do in life. Now, for those of you who don't know, I also consider the outer planets when using Vedic astrology. The outer planets are Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Now, I know a lot of Vedic astrologers don't use them, but after learning Vedic astrology with my teacher, Joni Patri, I have found the outer planets to work wonders in a chart. Now, with Neptune in the third house, there can be some sort of form of a misunderstanding between your siblings. And there's usually some underlying secret between the siblings that causes some disconnect in the relationship. There really needs to be healthy and honest communications with the siblings. Otherwise, it is just best to keep a healthy distance. Sometimes the mind and willpower are not always up to par with Neptune in the third house. There could be some difficulty with strategizing certain aspects of your life due to an inner fear of failing and not getting what you want out of life. However, with the self realization that you are the only one preventing yourself from that success, you can pretty much overcome many obstacles and break so many barriers. Now, for those who have Uranus in the third house, this tells me that you love to eat, breathe, and sleep communication, as well as the latest technological trends. Uranus rules the future and technology, and to have this in the third house tells me that these are a great part of your life. There can also be an interest when it comes to airplanes, machinery, and repairing cars or other forms of transportation. Since the third house rules hands, this can also indicate an innate interest in building these things. Now, if you have Pluto in the third house, then this tells me that you command a great deal of power and authority when it comes to communication, especially with the written word. You simply command a great deal of speaking ability, and you feel as if you have got to be in control when it comes to these matters. Just make sure with this placement that you are giving other people the opportunity to speak up and be heard. Otherwise, this can cause a lot of alienation and isolation in your life. And people can definitely excel in public speaking by making powerful speeches that leave a huge monumental impact on society. Now, Pluto in the third house does also indicate some control issues around younger siblings. There's just something about younger siblings that you have no control over, and this is something you are here to heal in this lifetime. Now, this ends up causing a lot of competition, contention, and jealousy, so it is best to resolve these issues in a healthy manner. In extreme cases, it is just best to keep a healthy distance from one another. So, this is what I wanted to cover regarding the third house. I hope you got something out of this. Once again, if you found this video to be useful, then please give it a thumbs up by hitting the like button. Doing so will tremendously help me with the YouTube algorithm so this video can reach a vast audience. Also, if you're new to my channel and would like to see similar videos like this in the future, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell notification. And lastly, if you would like to know more about me and what I do as a Vedic astrologer, then please check out my website, universal-fundamentals.com. Thank you so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day.